Yes, my people, welcome back to AFTV. Welcome back to another AFTV Live. It's Tuesday. Here in the UK, it's very rainy. I'm joined with Turkish. What are you saying, bro?
All good, bro. You?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. The weather's put me down a little bit, but you know, this is England, bro. Yesterday sun, today rain.
Yeah, I'm used to it by now, man. I'm waiting for pre-season.
What people don't know, off camera actually, we was walking to get food today and I just said, take me to pre-season. Even though we're in the biggest running coming for that title, pre-season, just the memories. I actually went back and looked at some of the stories of us in Orlando, Florida. I was like, what a time that was. But yeah, looking forward to that pre-season. Just quickly, let's just get off the bat. Guys, we're gonna go through a lot today. We're gonna speak about the loanees and if we should keep, got to send on a second loan, or sell. We're going to go through a lot of the loanees. There's quite a few out there. Actually, some names I completely forgot about until we're going through them today, so stay tuned for that. And then we're going to speak all about Bukayo Saka. I know at the moment, Bukayo Saka is everywhere when it comes to Arsenal talk. Fans are raving about him off the back of the England performance, him being star boy. But the news today was obviously about his contract and it's imminently away from being signed. And we're going to discuss all things around that at the top of the show. But Turkish, just quickly, Thomas Partey back to London Colney today to be assessed. Obviously, he felt something in his right leg during training for Ghana. Are you worried if he's not in that side come the weekend against Leeds, or do you think we have enough?
Always worried when you hear someone had to miss a game through maybe even a slight injury, because we've got 10 games to go, and that's one of our massive players. The same can be said for Saka, Jesus, Ben White, Saliba's out at the moment. I'm worried about that. So with 10 games to go, I don't want to be hearing that anyone's, on the verge of picking up a bigger injury. So hopefully it's just precaution, and hopefully, Arteta had a word with the Ghanaian FA or the manager or whoever it was and said, listen, if there's a risk there, then don't take that risk, because we've got something massive that we're fighting for. So yeah, there's a bit of a worry there, but from what I'm hearing, it's not that big of an issue. So hopefully we see him. Obviously against Leeds, I think, with or without Thomas, we should still win that game.
Okay, that's
it's more Anfield I'm looking at, and having Saliba back for that one, and hopefully Partey on top form for that one.
Cool. But with Leeds, you think we have enough? And to be fair, so do I, if I'm clear, especially with I know Leeds have got a few players out as well due to injury. Big up everyone in the chat. It's going to be a very interactive, as always, interactive live. So make sure you get involved. But I'm going to go straight into it. Loanees. We're going to start. So I'm going to bring up a name of one of the players on loan, and then a little poll is going to be made in the comment section whether we keep, we send on a second loan, or we sell the player. You guys get involved, let us know your thoughts, we'll give our thoughts as well. And let's go. Let's start with a goalkeeper, Alex Runnison, a player currently on loan as well. A man that, when he was in the Arsenal team, I think a lot of fans, I don't know, they'll question his ability and whatnot. Obviously, we went and got Matt Turner as well as our number 2 goalkeeper. Alex Runnison's still within the Arsenal setup. Would you guys in the comments like to see him go on a second loan? Would you like to see him sold? Or would you say return him? Alex Runnison, I think I know Turkey's answer this one. But Alex Runnison.
It is what it is. Sell, obviously. We've got Ramsdale, he's up the levels. Yeah. We've got Matt Turner back up. I'm happy with that. And in terms of a third choice goalkeeper, it is what it is. You don't often rely on your third choice. Obviously, times over the last, in football at times, teams have to call upon their third choice, but it's probably been a handful of times at Arsenal at most. So, it is what it is. Runnison, we've got Carl Hine, who's an international goalkeeper.
Very good. Okonkwo as well.
I'm happy very good as well. Third choice. So, Runnison, goodbye.
Yeah, fair enough. Runnison, I think I'm agree with that as well. I think it will be time to sell, in my opinion. I don't think Runnison, I'll be honest, I haven't watched him in the Icelandic League. I haven't seen him on his loan spell, so it might be a bit unfair. I don't know if he's got better with his feet on the ball and whatnot, but for me, I think it's time to move on from Alex Runnison. The next player coming on the screen. Before we go to the next player, actually, let me just quickly check the poll results. I know it's got to be quick, people, in the comments. You've got to be fast. So 5% say keep. Second loan says 12%. Then 83%, so the majority has gone with sell Alex Runnison.
Yeah,
okay,
makes sense.
It does make sense, and I think we're all kind of aligned there. Interesting to see the people that said keep, maybe some rival fans, or maybe some people that actually believe he could be useful. Austin Trusty at Birmingham City. Listen, I've heard a lot of good reviews. Again, I haven't watched him week in, week out. I've heard a lot of good reviews from Birmingham fans when I spoke with them. I've got a workshop coming up actually at Birmingham for my company, Talent Transfer. But from what I've spoke to fans of Birmingham, they've said he's been good, and he seems like he's confident on the ball, can play out from the back as well. This is a tricky one, I'll be honest, because we've got centre backs currently doing very well at Arsenal. A second loan, maybe a Premier League loan might be in contention here. I'm going to go with, I definitely don't want to see him sold because it would have been pointless of us buying him. A lot of people, I remember when we got him, saw it as a PR stunt, obviously an American centre-back. But I actually think there could be some use in him. I'm going to say second loan. Potentially maybe a nice one in the Premier League, but I might be asking him a bit much. You?
Yeah, I mean,
could be abroad.
I haven't checked in on his progress at Birmingham since about January. But leading up to January for the first half of the season, in and around the World Cup, the Birmingham fans seemed over the moon with him.
Yeah.
Didn't watch much of him, if I'm honest with you. But looking at the ratings game to game, he was always one of the more higher rated players. I expected to see him back at Arsenal, you know, being a backup to Gabriel. But then we signed Kivior and we spent about 20 M's on Kivior, which is a decent amount of money. So right now, I'd probably say loan to a Prem side. I'd probably agree with you there. That probably makes the most sense because obviously Kivior's still young. We're still yet to find out his ceiling and his quality at the moment. So going into next season, I'm happy with Gabriel and Kivior. The left side is centre-backs. That just leaves no room for Trusty. So another loan, preferably a Premier League club. See how that progress goes, as well as seeing how the progress with Kivior goes over here.
Yep.
And then, you know, maybe make a more finalised decision in the summer of 2024.
Yeah, and just give everyone an idea. Obviously, Austin Trusty and USA International. He's currently at Birmingham. He's only 24 years old as well. And he's played most of the games for Birmingham this season. So, but listen, from what I've heard, I've liked him. I like the profile of him as well. I think a second loan does work, whether it is the Premier League or abroad. I see a comment pop up there on the screen as well that said, you know, a second loan in the Premier League will be good. And someone just said he's only 24, and that's right. He is still quite young. So second loan, 56% of you agree with that. Keep 23% and 20% said sell, which is interesting. 24 said keep and 20 said sell. Is what it is. Listen, that is Austin Trusty, and I think the majority went with the second loan, and I agree with that one. I think that's very fair. Again. Next one, the one that everyone's talking about. We can spend a bit of time on this. Flo Balogun. Listen, I don't think many will say sell on this one. Well, actually, no, there could be a debate for sell because obviously we've got Eddie and Ketia, similar sort of profile. Do you sell one of them? Is one of them the Balogun, or do you keep Balogun and try and keep Eddie? I want both personally. Do you send Balogun on a second loan? We saw what happened with the William Saliba effect. He went on a few loan spells in France before he came back to Arsenal and then hit the heights that he's hitting this season. I'm literally waffling right now just so I can make up my decision on what I want to do with him. But no, I think for me, Florian Balogun, the second loan is appealing, I must say. But I do want to see him in this Arsenal side. He's done so well. He's done so well on his loan spell for Rems, and I just feel like if you send him on a second loan, we'll still, whether he goes after Rems, unless he stays there, we'll look to take him with him. I don't want to risk that. And I think clubs will be sniffing around for Balogun if we don't bring him back to Arsenal. But then there's a dilemma of, well, what do we do with Eddie? Do we keep them both? That is a question for another live because I'm not going to answer that right now. But for me, I say we bring him back and we utilise him next season. A lot of games, cup competitions. I'd like to see him in the Arsenal side. Where are you at? Turkish.
I think the only option is keep. I don't even entertain the other two, if I'm honest.
Really?
Yeah.
But you look at Saliba and it works so well for him. These further loans.
Yeah, but Saliba had other factors that kind of aided the reason for him going on loan, like an injury that limited game time one season. Obviously, the death of a family member was another one. Him being so young and not used to the Premier League. Now, I'm not saying Balogun's used to the Premier League, but Balogun is an academy product.
Yeah.
So this is home for him. And we brought in Jesus last year, and I look at Balogun and I like what I'm seeing. 100% like what I'm seeing, but I think he can learn even more being around Jesus.
Like Eddie, well, they said that about Eddie as well. But then when you got both of them,
Balogun's younger as well, so there's more room for scope there in terms of his development and learning curve and all of that. So Balogun, it's 100% keep for me. Like you said, FA Cup and we're not in Europa League no more, so Champions League I'd want to be seeing Jesus. But I definitely want to see Balogun in an Arsenal shirt next season. I'm intrigued by how he's kicked on this season in particular.
So, yeah, no, I agree with you. It's just a tough one because Saliba, I remember when I wanted him before he went on I think his third line or second line, I wanted him at Arsenal. I wanted to see him. I wanted to see the hype. This is how I feel about Balogun, and I don't know if I'm wrong, or not me being wrong, but I don't know if Mikel Arteta sent him on a second loan. If I'll be annoyed because I want to see him in Arsenal top, but would that be the right decision? That is yet to know. But for me, I think we've gone with the same answer. I think keep. I think it's time to see Balogun in Arsenal top, and he's proven enough on his loan spell to deserve at least a shot in this Arsenal side.
And obviously you mentioned Eddie as well, and listen, Eddie stepped in when Jesus got injured, and he scored what was it, four league goals and then 2 in the FA Cup, I think. And this season.
Oh, this season.
Yeah.
I've scored 5, so 5. But yeah, this
but
season,
off the bench. Maybe the chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but off the bench, I don't think Eddie's come on and scored a goal this season, or I don't think he's come on and helped influence a game. I don't think so. So if I'm looking at the bench next season and I'm seeing Balogun there, I'm also interested to see what impact he can make off the bench too in games that are tight, games where we need a goal. So 100% you keep Balogun.
Okay, we got a super chat from Miles Smith, says, I agree with Turkish, loan him for another year. If he's as good as he is on FIFA, then we need to keep him. And I believe he's talking about Austin Trusty.
Yeah, Austin Trusty, yeah.
Okay, let me go to the next name on my sheet we have here is, now listen, there'll be some academy players that have been left out, but this one I would like to see, maybe on a second loan, but Brooke Norton-Cuffy. I know the photo image that's going to pop up on your screen is from him at Lincoln City. He's currently at Coventry. He's currently at Coventry on loan. Second loan, sell him, or do you keep him? Now, to remind everyone, he is a right back and a very good. Listen, he was raved about. Done very well in the England under-21s as well. Very successful. I believe the England under-21s won their. I don't know if it was the Euros. They won the. Yeah, I think it was the Euros, and he was part of that team as well. Brooke Norton-Cuffy. Very, very, very esteemed young player. A player that a lot of people are speaking about. Got good quality, physical, powerful, quick. They see him as a modern day fullback, and I like his profile. I've actually watched a bit of him as well. But do you keep him, or for me, do I keep him or put him on a second loan is the real question, or a further loan, because it wouldn't be a second, it'd probably be his third. I'm gonna go. Sorry. I'm going to go with another loan, but it has to be a Premier League loan. It has to be. It has to be. That's the only thing. Because we've got Tomiyasu, we've got Ben White. We'll get to Cedric, but yeah. Either comes on loan or he keeps. I'll be interested to hear what the chat has to say, but where are you at? I don't know if you've seen much of Brooke this season.
Not this season, I haven't, but last season I saw bits of him, a lot of people talking him up, you know. There's a lot of hope and belief that he'll turn into a quality player for us, and from that alone, I'd eliminate Sell.
Yep, he's 19 as well, to remind.
But it also depends what we do with the fullback situation in the summer. Now, if you ask me now, would I be happy going into next season with Zinchenko and Tierney left back and Ben White and Tomiyasu right back? Yes. I was happy going into this season with that. I'm happy going into next season with that. But if you throw in a curveball and say, you know, Tierney might want to leave, which, you know, a lot of the rumours have been saying that could be the case come the end of the season, and you also look at Tomiyasu being utilised in the left back role, you know, a few times this season by Arteta, then if we were to lose someone in the fullback position, i.e. a Tierney, then I'd probably look to bring him and keep him here as my first option, and being a backup to Ben White. But if Tierney's happy and he wants to stay, and Tomiyasu's future for Mikel is at right back, then I'd say second loan. So I'm going to say second loan now, because I've got my fingers crossed that Tierney wants to stay and does stay. Right. But then if there's a mini shake up there because of him wanting to leave potentially, then bring Norton-Cuffy back and have him kind of be the deputy to Ben White. Okay, I like that. No, I did miss the results for the Balogun. It was keep 71% for Balogun. A lot of people wanted to keep him. Second loan was 18% and sell was 9%. That's what the chat went with. Now, I'm going to change my answer actually. I want Brooke Norton-Cuffy to stay, keep. That is because the next name I'm going to read out is Cedric Suarez. Cedric Suarez currently on loan obviously at Fulham. I would want to sell
this player. Hopefully Fulham were happy with him. He hasn't been playing too much, but I hope they're happy with him and would like to buy him off us. And if we're going to sell someone like Cedric, I like how you spoke about Brook Norton-Cuffy and Natini, you know, how he is and if he stays. And that was your decision. But for me, if we get rid of Cedric Soares, I think it'll be right to bring in Brook Norton-Cuffy and have him part of the players to come up in that position and prove himself. So for me, I'd like to keep Brook Norton-Cuffy, but Cedric Soares would be an interesting one. I would say sell there. Just to give you an idea, people, of what people said about Brook Norton-Cuffy. The chat said second loan, 58% of them went with that. 33% of them went with keep, and 8% went with sell. So a lot of people were agreeing about send them on another loan. I changed it to keep. But for this one now, we're doing Cedric Soares. Where are you at?
One of Arteta's early signings, isn't it?
Yeah, and he spoke highly of him as well when he signed him.
Yeah, I remember. I think it's time to move on. I actually thought his contract ends at the end of this season, but I think it might be one more year to go. Listen, when he came in my opinion, he was the best right back we had at the club. It was Bellerin, Maitland-Niles, and then he comes in.
That's
and
what Mikel Arteta said as well.
For me, Cedric was... Yeah, Mikel Arteta said
that, yeah.
But then when it came to game time...
Yeah, he never played.
He favoured Bellerin a hell of a lot more, which was a weird one for me. But Cedric is just one of those players that... He's had a decent career for himself. I think he won the Euros with Portugal as well during his time. But we've moved on now.
Yeah.
And we've moved on fast. And that position now, when I just mentioned Ben White and Tomiyasu... That's levels right now to Cedric. So Cedric, hopefully we can find somewhere for him. We probably won't get much money for him, if I'm honest. A year left, and he's one of the fringe players at best. But I would say sell. I think it's time to move on.
Time for to move on, you say. The chat agrees with you. 93% of them say sell. Second loan, 4%. And 3% say keep.
He's not a bad right back.
He's not. This is what I want to spend just a little bit more time on conversating about him, just briefly, because quality-wise, on the ball, good. I think you're right when he said about, look, Arsenal are at a different level in the fullback position now, and I don't know if he has that agility and overlapping and the link-up play that we see from like the likes of Ben White and Saka. So that's an issue, but he's not a bad right back. I never criticised him. I never really overly criticised him. I actually got a lot of stick for not criticising him more, but I actually liked Cedric Soares. But I think now is the time to sell. I would like to see, and this could bite me in the backside. That's how it is when you have to speak about, players and whatnot on lives. But I think it's time to sell, and I would like to see Brook Norton-Cuffy given a chance, a similar chance to kind of what Cedric got last season. I know it wasn't loads, but it was enough game time, I think, for a young player. But so we've mentioned that, Cedric Soares and his stats on his numbers from the chat. Let's go to the next player on your screen, which is Charlie Patino. Absolutely being hailed up by the Blackpool fans, and everyone that speaks about Charlie Patino thinks he's got so much class, so much quality, has improved Blackpool, and I haven't heard anything bad at all from his loan spell. Like I said, it's all been positive. The fans love him. He got his own song. They want to buy him. They want to buy him off Arsenal. They really, really, really indulge in having Charlie Patino at Blackpool. Now, I'm going to throw this one to you, and while I throw it to you, I'm going to think about what I want to do with him. Do you send him on another loan, or do you sell Charlie Patino? Stocks will be high. Second loan, remember he's currently in the Championship, and selling him, like I said, stocks behind, but keeping him, will he have a space at Arsenal is the question, really, is where we're going down to.
First things first, I can't wait to see Patino, in an Arsenal shirt, playing regular minutes for us. Yeah. I think there's a quality player in there for sure. Technically, he looks levels for his age, and the loan spell's going better than I think all of us expected. I know we all thought it'd go well because he's a quality player, but it seems like the Blackpool fans love him. But he is 19. We are linked to Declan Rice, Cecil again. Xhaka's had his best season by miles in an Arsenal shirt this year. So I just worry about game time for him at Arsenal next season.
Would it be unfair to keep him? To bring him back into the
I'd want to keep him, but at the same time, he also needs minutes and he needs experience. So I wouldn't mind the second loan if next season's not the season that Arteta sees him bedding in terms of regular minutes and regular game time. And considering Champions League football is on the horizon, that eliminates Europa League in terms of rotation and giving fringe players opportunities, in my opinion. When you're in Champions League, it's the strongest team. So I want to keep him, but I'd say second loan is probably the wisest choice. We are linked to midfielders. We made a big bid for a midfielder in January. So I'm assuming that's an area of the pitch where we're going to go heavy in the summer. So to be fair to Patino, to aid his development, I'm going to lean towards second loan. But I'm not in Arteta's head. I don't know what he's thinking. And, you know, Arteta gave him a couple opportunities last season.
He did.
So I believe Arteta sees a future at Arsenal in him as well. But I just think where we're at, where we're headed, and considering the age of our team already at this moment in time, being the youngest team in the league, going into Champions League football, linked to the players we're linked with, it just screams second loan for me more than anything. I'll probably say similar to who did I say it with earlier? Another loan, but a Premier League club. Okay.
I like this comment here. Gunning you down said same with Emile Smith-Rowe. He had two loan spells, and it's come off the screen there. There was also one on Matt Dyer as well. He put a comment in the chat, and he says, I know a couple of Blackpool season ticket holders who reckon Patino isn't strong enough, which is interesting. I don't know if it means strong as in physicality wise, but ball playing wise, I'm sure he has a technical ability. He's a quality player, especially in that side. Sadiq with a comment says, second loan Patino, we're linked with Caicedo and Declan Rice in the summer, depends on that if we keep. For me, a second loan works, but funny enough, I don't even say a Premier League club. I would like to see him go abroad, but to a good level abroad, not just like a League 2 or League 1 abroad, but abroad, but in a high standard. I want to see how he fares overseas. And I think that comment there from Gunning You Down, talking about, Emile Smith-Rowe had the same sort of, I've got it here, Emile Smith-Rowe was loaned twice. That's where he improved. Patino needs the same track. And it's a great comment, and I actually I have a lot of agreement to that. So a second loan, definitely. And I think it is, like we mentioned, only right for the player. I think he deserves minutes. And he's not, I'll be honest, he's not going to get that next season with the way Arsenal are moving this season. So I think a second loan is definitely viable. You say in the Prem, I say abroad. Next one, Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I said that very weird, didn't I? But Ainsley Maitland-Niles.
You said that in a way where this is going to be a big debate. It shouldn't be.
No, I don't think it'll be a big debate. Because for me, I'm saying it's time. I like Ainsley, really do. I really do, my bro. But I think it is time for him to move on. I think this is the level of player and time for him to kind of move on. It's like the Joe Willock. I actually like Joe Willock, but I think it was time for him to move on. I think Ainsley as well. I think it's time for him to move on. He wanted that midfield position. Personally, at Arsenal, you're not going to get that. I don't think you're strong enough. Right back, in the full-back position, I liked him. And I think he's been playing there recently as well, and doing pretty well. So, for me, Maitland-Niles is a sell. I'm going to go quickly to Patino's stats just quickly. Sorry, second loan was 51%, keep was 42%, sell was 5%. So a lot of people, it's kind of split actually. But some people want to see him in Arsenal top, Charlie Patino, and some want to see him on a second loan. But Ainsley Maitland-Niles, for me, it's time to sell and move on. I don't know how much you'd really get for him. Probably not too much, which is sad to say.
His loan spell hasn't exactly set the world alight.
Yeah. So. Which is a shame. He is a versatile player, like I mentioned. He wants to play in that midfield position. I think he can play in the midfield position for some clubs. I think he does very well at fullback as well. Aggressive, powerful, good on the ball. Can do the overlapping, can be up and down the wings. But I think it is time for us to move on. What about you?
100%. It's time to move on. I mentioned with Cedric that we've moved on from Cedric. We've definitely moved on from Ainsley. That's for sure. One thing about the previous era, and I don't like going back to it much because it was a depressing era. A lot of people tended to say, I like this player, I like him, but I just don't get that. Like, I like players that perform for our club. Obviously, it's good to have a nice character. Look at Saka, for example. Off the field, you can praise him. You can praise him for his character. You can praise him for his attitude. You can praise him for how humble he is.
Yep.
But on the pitch is where it matters as an Arsenal fan, as an Arsenal supporter, for me. And Ainsley never nailed down a spot, whether it's midfield or whether it was right back. And it just didn't... At times, I just felt like, does he think he's better than he is?
Maybe.
And that's how it came across to me.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
I was never happy with him as a right back option because he isn't a right back, and he alluded to it over the years too. And he hasn't also, we've moved on.
Yeah.
He actually hasn't, because he's had a loan spell now where he hasn't really kicked on. I doubt, where's he at, Southampton?
Southampton, yeah.
I doubt Southampton are going to want to sign him up at the end of the season. To be honest, it looks like they might be going down. So maybe maybe in the Championship they might see something in him there. But for me, it's over now. It's over. I think the players from that era that have something to give now are here. Xhaka, Eddie Nketiah being two, even Reece Nelson you could add into that as well.
You have to add him into it.
I feel like we've got the players that can offer us something now, and we've got rid of the majority that kind of held us back in that era. And I think through one reason or another, maybe it's down to the quality, the lack of quality in certain positions. Maybe it's down to him not really knuckling down and taking the opportunities given. It's just over.
Yeah. When I say like I like these players, it's because like things like Cedric. I liked Cedric, but I'd like them because I don't think they was as bad as people were giving him flack for. Same with the likes of Maitland-Niles. I actually liked Maitland-Niles, so I thought he wasn't as bad. I think yes, we're definitely progressed as the Arsenal side and the team's got better, but that's why I kind of have a like to them. I think Oveshoe says here with a chat, Wolves offered 20 million. I don't know if that's true, but if that is the case.
No, this was a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Well, now it would be interesting to see, what a club would take for Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Just quickly, the stats. The poll on this one says 9% say keep. Second loan is 6% of you guys, and then 86% of you said sell Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Arsenal all the way with Super Chat says Champions League play is how I judge world class. Now he's obviously speaking about the Saka conversation, which we'll get to a bit later, but we're going to carry on with the next player. That is Pablo Mari. I believe he's probably going to be gone by the end of this season, if I'm completely honest. And in summer, I think it's quite an affiliation that he's looking to move on from Arsenal. I liked Pablo Mari as well. I know I liked a lot of the players, but again, I think he got a lot of stick for a player that wasn't too bad. Obviously, it's of the generation of times where we weren't in our greatest moments for Arsenal. But Pablo Mari, for me, again, he's someone to sell on. I think he's already going to be gone as well. I think his mind's kind of made up as well. But for you, Pablo Mari, second loan, keep or sell Turkish?
It's sell.
This one's quite a quick one.
I don't think this is even a debate. Again, another one of Arteta's early signings. Decent centre-back in my opinion. I guess unlucky with injuries at times when he was about to be given an opportunity. But in the end, we've moved on from him as well. When you look at the players we do have, we mentioned Trusty, left-sided centre-back. We mentioned that he might not have the minutes for next season, considering Kivior's come in. Then we've already moved on from Pablo, and I think he's moved on from us as well. I think mentally he knew that I want to play minutes. And he pushed himself for a loan. Okay. And the numbers on that one quickly: 4% say keeps, 2% say second loan, 94% of you said sell. A lot of people getting involved in that one, and a lot of people agreeing with a lot of what we're saying here. Hines says, big up AFTV, love the content, and y'all, big up, thank you so much for the super chat. Next one. Now I know when I said Ainsley Maitland-Niles, you're like, right, I thought it was going to be a big one, and it wasn't. But this one, Nicolas Pepe. Now, Nicolas Pepe obviously at Nice. I'm going to say sell. I don't think people are going to be too shocked to hear that. I've got a lot of stick on this channel for. I think a lot of times I made up my decision and mind on Pepe a long while back. Nothing against him. He has got ability, 100%. But for me, it's definitely a player that needs to sell. Obviously, our record signing, 72 million, never really hit the heights. He had good numbers, some would say. They would argue with me. But for me, and it's not even on the price tag, I just don't think Pepe works with Mikel Arteta in the way he wants to play. I think there was never a good relationship between them two when it came to his performances on the pitch, and it's not a player for me. I think it's time to sell. I think you're not going to make you're not going to make the 72 million back. You'll probably take a big loss in him, but it'll still be money either way. You Turkish? Yeah, listen, it's time to move on from him as well. I was gassed when we signed him. He was one of the most exciting talents when we signed him. Turns out to be probably our biggest flop when you consider the money that we spent for him and what he brought to us. And don't get me wrong, you see a Pepe highlight reel and you look at it and say, this guy's still got something to offer, because I'm seeing a lot of people, especially on Twitter, doing that now, saying, I think in this system it can work. But the point is that Arteta didn't even want to see if it would work. And modern day managers have a philosophy and have an idea of exactly what they want to a T. Not only as a team but individually to make that team, and I just don't think Arteta ever saw that necessity in Nicolas Pepe, in my opinion. That's why it just never worked.
Yeah.
He's got quality for sure. He's got quality, and a highlight reel will show you that. But in modern day football, you need 90 minutes of focus, concentration, hunger, determination, passion. Not only quality. Yes, 20 years ago, quality will get you through games without a doubt. You could walk around, you can, not track back, but that bit of quality is what teams were often built around back in the day. Now it's not like that. Now everyone has to work. Even if you have the quality, you have to work. Otherwise, it doesn't work for modern day managers. And Arteta is a modern day manager. So
100%.
Nicolas is, I don't know how much we'll get for him, but it's time to go.
Not worried about a lot of people saying in the chat, no backup for Saka.
I'd expect to buy one though.
Yeah.
I'd expect to buy one, not bring someone back that already wasn't favoured. Maybe if Pepe went and set League One on fire, then I'd be like, all right, he's still got that in him.
Yeah.
But he hasn't.
He hasn't. Yeah, he hasn't.
So for me, it's move on. He just finds somewhere where he can get some minutes and become important again, I guess. For us, it's time to add some competition for Saka, add some backup for Saka.
Yeah, 100%. Now we've got a little super chat here from Miles Smith. Says, I'd like to keep Pepe. We've seen glimpses of a quality player, and we need competition for Saka. I want to see what else he can offer. And I think a few people actually said keep Pepe as well in the chat, which is quite interesting. But let me give you the poll numbers. The poll numbers are 18% say keep. That's still pretty high. Second loan, 4%, and then 79% of people say sell. So a lot of people kind of went with, again, what we were speaking about there, sell Nicolas Pepe. And I think, listen, for him as well, I just feel like for his mood and everything, I think he would be happier just playing. Most players want to play, and he's one of those players that wants to be out there playing. But yeah, Pepe, I think it's time for us to move on from him. Next name, there's a lot of loanees, would you believe? Marquinhos, currently at Norwich. Listen, I like Marquinhos. I think, bloody hell, have I said that with him? No, I haven't said it with everyone, but I like our players, man. It's a very good time to be an Arsenal fan. I like our players. I like Marquinhos, and I like what he's done in his little short times at Arsenal when he's come in as well. And he was a player that, yes, he was dubbed for the future. I heard Edu speak about him and said, look, he's not one for now, he's one for the future. But due to circumstances, we actually had to use him on certain occasions, and he stepped up. I think he's a good player, very fast, powerful. He's still very young. He fits in, with the Brazilians, and they got a good little vibe there. But he's currently on loan at Norwich, and I believe he's actually doing okay as well. What would I want to do with him next season? Would it be keep, loan, second loan, or sell? Definitely not sell. Is he going to be too young to keep and throw in there when it's Champions League nights and then challenging again for the title again? Or does he need a second loan in the Premier League? Sorry, I'm dwelling on this one. I'm gonna go second loan, and I wouldn't even mind. I know we got Lokonga at Palace, but I wouldn't even mind him going to like a Palace. I think he would suit well at a Palace, Marquinhos. But yeah, second loan. What about you, Turkish? This one's a tough one because I actually think he's good. He's just very young, and I haven't seen enough.
It's not tough for me. I think second loan is.
Is that the one that's just screaming out at you?
Yeah, because he's young. I think the plan was always for him to kind of go on loan and develop under the radar. But I just feel like, it's rumoured that we went in for Rafinha last summer. I feel like we didn't necessarily get the competition or backup to Saka that we wanted heading into the summer. So Marquinhos, it just made sense to keep him, Europa League, game time and so on. I actually haven't checked in on his progress at Norwich since he went on loan in January, so I can't really say much about that. But I'd say a second loan is a given. I wouldn't want to sell.
Yeah.
But at the same time, even when you said Champions League, bringing him off the bench, that's not gonna help us win it.
Okay.
So
a loan in the Premier League or Championship again or abroad.
With him, I don't necessarily mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't necessarily. Ideally, you want a Premier League club that's going to give him the minutes. But at the same time, it's not like Marquinhos is that young. Like with Patino, there's enough hype around him to know that a Premier League club will give him regular game time, in my opinion. With Marquinhos, I don't think there is that hype that tells me that if a Premier League club was to get him, they wouldn't just utilise him as a backup as well, which in the end doesn't really help any of us.
Do you know what another big factor is as well, for me, and what I believe as well, being obviously an ex-player, is he's coming from abroad, coming into the English style of football, whether it's Championship or Premier League. It's a culture change, it's an adjustment completely. So a second loan back in the league is fine. Charlie Patino knows the UK. He knows that level of football. He's played in the academies in England. Like it's easier for him to adjust. He'll have a quicker adjustment period than what Marquinhos would have. So that's why I never said for Marquinhos when it's a second round, I wasn't saying send him abroad. I think he needs to stay in England. I just don't know if it's Premier League or Championship, but it'd be nice if he got a Premier League move for a loan next season. But definitely keep on hold of him, because from what I've heard, and I think I watched when he scored a goal for Norwich, and I watched that game, but he didn't play many minutes so far since he's been on loan. But Marquinhos, I think, is a good talent. Johnny with a super chat says Marquinhos is talented, but he needs more experience. A loan to a mid-table Premier League club would be good for him. Definitely shouldn't sell yet. Again, it'd be nice to see him at Crystal Palace, in my opinion. That'd be a good place for him. Now, did I mention? I was coming down to my last player, but I don't know if I mentioned Sambi Lokonga. I haven't mentioned Sambi Lokonga, but he's the next one that I'm going to mention. Sambi Lokonga, currently at Crystal Palace. And I'm going to, before we read out, get our thoughts on Sambi Lokonga, let me read the stats from the poll on Marquinhos. Second loan, 65%. Keep was 28%, and sell was 5% for Marquinhos. So a lot of people saying send him out on a second loan. Now, Sambi Lokonga, Crystal Palace, hasn't, obviously, now Patrick Vieira's gone. He's got Roy Hodgson. Be interesting to see if he stays in the side and if he's a Roy Hodgson sort of player. Lokonga, this is a difficult one because was raved about before he came to Arsenal by the likes of Vincent Kompany, and I believe Thierry Henry, I think it was more Vincent Kompany had a lot to say about him. And a player that I thought on the ball, technical wise, very good, very composed. I think there's a player in him. This one's tough. I believe there's a player in Sambi Lokonga. But is there a player to an Arsenal level? I think not, and that's so harsh. And for me as well, I've backed him so far. But Sambi, I think it needs to be another sell. I don't see him. If he sets the world alight, since being at Palace, he hasn't. If he does it in the next 10 games, fair play to him. I may change my mind, but right now, I'm edging towards sell. Oh, people are saying loan to Burnley under Kompany. Loan him to Burnley, fam, says Josh as well. And do you know what? It's not even a bad shout. That's not even a bad shout. He was one raving about him before. Take him and build into what you want to be. But for me, even a sell to Burnley is not a bad deal. But would you say he's had a fair shot at Arsenal to get rid of him this quick?
Yeah, I just don't see it. I think he's had ample opportunities, and I think a year and a half is a good enough measuring stick for a player coming in from outside of the UK. You know, the bedding in period and acclimatise into the league and all of that. I think a year and a half is when you can really look back and say, has he done enough? And I just don't see it. I mean, he started games for us in the 8, he started games for us in the 6 as well. And neither position, in my opinion, he didn't stand out. And, you know, when I look back at it, you know, we sold Willock and we brought in Sambi. In all honesty, he didn't improve in that position on Willock. And to be loaned out a year and a half later kind of tells me that Arteta sees it the same way. Because don't get twisted, we was going for midfielders in January. Yeah, I mentioned it before. So, you know, we've got a young midfielder there that was raved about a year and a half into his career at Arsenal. He should have been primed to be picking up the minutes that you know, we wanted a Cecil for, or, you know, we wanted Declan Rice for in the summer. Yeah. But he was loaned out. And at Palace, he you know, worked his way into the first 11. Like you said, Vieira's been sacked now, so we'll see if he continues playing. But I know a few Palace fans, and listen, they like him. They think he's added something for sure. At the same time, they haven't won a game in 2023. So it's not necessarily hard to come in as a new player in the midfield position and offer something that the fans might like. But when push comes to shove, and I ask them, would you sign him in the summer? The answer tends to be no. They want better. Yeah. So if Palace want better, then, you know, I think it's a given for us. So I'd say sell, but at the same time, I'd probably say loan with an obligation or option to buy. because I feel like we didn't spend much on him. Was it 17 mil, 18, 19 mil max? But his value's probably dropped since then. Whereas I feel like if he went out on loan next season with an obligation or an option to buy, we could pick up around the same amount, if not maybe just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because he's not a bad player.
No.
But he's not good enough for where we are and where we're going.
I like that. I see here Atik says, Cecil, I remember you saying that Sambi is better than Xhaka. You clown. I mean, find me that clip. I'd like to see that. But listen, as well, Loanee got thrown in deep in a lot of the games. And I know Turkish does like when people say that, because I remember we had an argument, not an argument, we had a discussion about it. But he got thrown into that lone 6 against Brighton and whatnot. And I just felt like it was unfair at times. And like I said, there's definitely a player in him.
Brighton's not the deep end, bro.
No, I know. But
Champions League is the deep end.
That is, but a lone 6 in the time around the way Arsenal was playing that time. Nah, man.
I don't care.
That in the time and the time we were playing, and the quality we had at that time, well, we had a good time, but we lost Brighton and Southampton and Crystal Palace. That's when he got thrown into it.
Yeah, look at the teams you just said though.
To sustain. Yeah, he wasn't in all of them. He just played that one against Brighton. But Brighton himself in that lone 6 is.
Oh, that's
and
football
Brighton
now.
were doing Brighton.
What does he want? A man either side of him to hold his hand? I don't get it. The 6 is a lone role now.
Yeah, but
so if that's your position, cool.
Sammy.
But if you're in the 8, then you need to give something on the attacking front. Look, Xhaka's managed to give something this season, having been moved
an experienced player though. You know, Xhaka's completely turned his story around. But
to be honest with you, that person that said you said Sammy's better than Xhaka, you probably did say that because you know Xhaka's really stepped up this season. But if you ask me now, you know, can Sambi get minutes whilst Xhaka's performing the way he is?
Yeah,
no chance.
No way. Yeah, I back Sambi.
I want someone that's going to offer more on the attacking front to compete with Xhaka for that position.
Yeah. E. Ross with a super chat says Selby Lokonga. Haynes says he couldn't even perform against the championship sides. And Toyin says I'll order the Uber to take him to Gatwick. Let me just go to the poll numbers. Keep say 12%. Second loan says 36%, and sell is at 52% for Sambi Lokonga. So this whole the loanees keep, sell, or second loan has been longer than I expected, but we're coming up to the last player on the list, and that is.
People say I'm being ruthless and imagine Turkish as manager. I don't think I've been ruthless. But when I think about it, I've only said keep Balogun. But at the same time, it is what it is.
No, you haven't been
speaking honestly.
We've been ruthless. You just said keep Balogun. Is that what the only person you've only just said? Yeah, but I think everyone's.
I said keep Balogun, and I can't wait to see Patino in an Arsenal shirt, but a loan might be better for him, and Brook Norton Coffee pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, and the keep is we want to see an Arsenal shirt play. Like keep is not like just
we're
keep.
We're going Champions League.
Yeah, exactly.
And, we're going Champions League. It's a different kettle of fish.
Okay, let's go to the next player, Nuno Tavares. Player carry out on loan as well. Listen, fullback, but plays very much as a winger. Very good going forward from all the reports and some of the games I saw him play. Still got that, unorthodox sort of style of play, unpredictability from his game. Can beat a player, has scored goals as well. But defending wise, that's always in question. Does he come back to Arsenal? Do you send him on another loan? Or do you sell him? That's a tough one, because you could send him on another loan to develop. And if he develops defensively, then he could be a good asset for Arsenal. Or do you sell him, because I think his stock, again, could be quite high. Not crazy high, but I don't think you make too much of a loss on Tavares if you sell him. I'm going to pass it over to you to make a decision on what you would do.
I mean,
it kind of depends on what happens with Tierney. Oh, yeah, here we go. There's a comment there. If Tierney leaves, keep Tavares.
I don't know. If Tierney's not getting minutes that we want to see him getting, I doubt Tavares will. So, listen, I'm with the stock is high side of things. I look at the players we've all gone through now, and who's gone on loan and raised their fee.
Started very well.
The end of it. Aside from Balogun, I'd say it's Tavares.
Yeah, he started. Yeah, he's done very well on loan.
So I'd say, we signed him for 8 million. Looking back now, it probably was more convenience than anything. But credit to him, he went on loan this season and he picked it up, and he's been performing well, and he's added something over there. So for me, I think we should be able to get 15, maybe 20 mil out of him. So sell would be my would be my choice, because at the same time, yes, we're going to get Champions League money, but it's also good to turn around some income from the players too. And he's probably one of the players that we can get a decent amount for.
Okay, I would go with a second loan, and I've cussed Tavares in the past, I'll be honest. But again, when I was speaking it through, if he works on his defending on loan, say to a club that's going to be heavily pressed, say if Burnley do come up, they're going to have a lot of the Premier League teams attacking them. Burnley are likely to come up this season. They have a lot of Premier League teams attacking them. If Tavares was there on loan and worked on defending, and he added that to his game to become a better defender, I think he'll be a very good fullback and something we can utilise. But I hear your points as well. But yeah, I'd say a second loan for Tavares. Just needs to work on his defending.
It's hard when you start your career and you're already playing games week in, week out. To change is not an easy thing to do, because you've been learning that way. You've been doing what you've been doing, not for 1 or 2 years. You've been doing it for 10, 15 years, from academies, growing up, through under 16s, under 18s, so on. So yeah, you
can work on defending, though. One-on-one defending and a lot of training. You can, if you're a young player and you're told, listen, you need to defending is where you're weakest at. You should expect a lot of players to rise. Listen, I didn't expect Xhaka to turn his story around, but he's turned his story around here at Arsenal.
Yeah, but that's a positional change with Xhaka as well.
Yeah, but also it seems like a different player in the way he's on the ball, the passes, the goal scoring. I know he's gone further up the field, but players can change. They can definitely improve their play, in my personal opinion.
They can hone some skills, yeah, but change drastically.
He's young as well. Tavares is young as well. He's still got time to adapt.
He's not that young to say. If you're looking for someone to add and hone skills, you're probably talking 17, 18, 19. He's not that young for me to say, you know what, a year or two he could be a top defender if he knuckles down and focuses on it. Because at the same time, he's used to doing what he's doing for all these years, and he can work in some teams because he has got quality. It's
definitely a tough one. It is a tough one because a lot of nowadays the fullbacks are more attacking, and like we look at Zinchenko. Zinchenko, don't get twisted, can defend very well, but his pros are heavily in his attacking play and getting forward and playing in certain areas. I think Tavares could, once he tightens up his game, but I think he could be used in that way. It depends on what we do with Kieran Tierney. But if he goes, I would say send Tavares out on a second loan, keep a close eye on him, and maybe use him for Arsenal at some point. The poll says 23% say keep, 22% say second loan, 54% say sell. And yeah, I know Robbie will be saying what this person's saying here. Drew Ward saying he is a winger, laughing faces, and that's what Robbie will probably be saying as well, because I know Robbie was like, he's more of a winger than he is a fullback. Right, spent a lot of time on that, but there's a lot of people on loan, so forgive me, people. The main topic today obviously is Bukayo Saka, but there'll be Bukayo Saka talk throughout the whole of YouTube and online, and wherever you look, it's all Bukayo Saka. But I'm gonna quickly play you a quick video from after the game against Ukraine, what Zinchenko had to say on Bukayo Saka.
Yeah, one last question. Bukayo Saka had a great game, probably one man the match for England. What did you exchange any words after the match? What's your assessment of his performance?
He's an amazing player. We knew that. Obviously, he's on fire at the moment, and I wish him that until the end of the season. Like I said already, that there is no friends on the pitch. Unfortunately, he beat me today, but I will take revenge.
Thank you.
All right, that's what Zinchenko had to say. And he also said about, Saka picked up another Man of the Match award for his time playing for England. Now, listen, Saka is absolutely, I can't say more about the kid. He's unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. That's his 9th Man of the Match award for England. And I believe it says it here, 26 appearances. That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. It's funny, Zinchenko said, I'll get his revenge. But listen, star boy Saka, superb for his club, superb for his country. And the main talk today is he's literally very close for the announcement of him signing his new contract. Now, we're gonna talk about the curse. If the curse is obviously these big players for Arsenal sign their contracts and it usually goes downhill. We'll start with Mesut Ozil. Signed a big contract in 2018. 3.5-year deal, 350k a week. He was the highest paid player at Arsenal. We all know what happened there. Turkish. It's a big contract. It's a lot of money. Aubameyang, the next one, the one that's famously everyone kind of remembers, the sign the ting era, the Black Panther era. They give him the captain's armband, give him what he wants. Back in 2020, he signs a 3-year contract on 250k a week, reportedly. Bukayo Saka, I believe, be the one to break the curse. I'm praying he's the one to break the curse, in a sense that you can only kind of gauge it from, you know, his personality, what we see of him. Bukayo Saka's obviously new contract is looking to be signed very soon. It's been rumoured it's going to run out in 2028. Obviously, he's got 1 year left of his contract currently, so it'll be a 4-year extension on around 200 plus a week, reportedly, with bonuses that can go up to 300k a week. That's a lot of money. Arsenal's very good right now, so at the moment, most people will be like, who cares? Give him what he wants. But there's a conversation to have on both sides. You have to give both sides. For me, I'm the same as probably many of the fans. Give him what he wants. Bukayo Saka, he's won Arsenal's Player of the Year 2 years in a row. He's been the most consistent. He is world class. I don't care. He is world class in my opinion. Consistency for me is how I gauge world class. And if we win the Premier League, he's straight in there as well. But even still, for me, he's world class. He deserves 200k a week minimum, especially with the price increase of the players as well. Like Eddie Nketiah's on 100k a week, got the 14 top. I believe Jesus come in as the highest player. He's on a lot of money as well. Bukayo Saka, for you, Turkish, is there a question to say, if we put him on this much money, this young, 21 years old, where does he go from here? Because there's still time for him to build his legacy here at Arsenal. Or are you on the same thing as me, as I don't care, he deserves what he's getting?
I don't think, firstly, I don't think there is this whole curse thing. I think the timing of the Ozil contract, you know, 350k at a player that's already shown signs of decline at his age wasn't the right thing to do. We were just left backs against the walls because of Sanchez and Ozil, both contracts running down at the same time. Sanchez eventually chose his move, and we were left with one-star man to try and tie down, and that's what we done. I understand why they gave Ozil that money, but at the same time, when you take a step back and take the emotions out of it, it wasn't the right thing to do. With Oba, it's kind of similar.
Yeah, because Oba was 31 years old.
Yeah, it's similar. I mean, with Oba, it wasn't quite the same as the timing with Ozil, because I wouldn't say there was evidence of decline from Oba. He was, still a top player for us. He was banging in goals, was a big part, the biggest part of the FA Cup, to the semi and the final in particular. And, heading into a new era with Mikel, it just felt like, we needed to secure Oba and guarantee, a 20 goal a year output for this side. But his age comes into it as well. And as soon as he got that money, the decline did kind of start there. And again, it can come down to age. It can come down to hunger. Once you receive that contract, are you still hungry? But it can also come down to, well, it's going to come down to one or the other, really. It's going to come down to the age or the hunger lost after signing for such an amount of money. With Saka, is completely different, because Saka's on the rise. Saka's a young player still with a lot to prove. Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen young players at other clubs, Hudson-Odoi, get a lot of money and then not work out for him. Rashford.
I was about to. That's the name I was going to say as well.
He didn't kick on to that level of player that you put in that tax bracket
at the time. Correct.
And with this whole rumoured Saka contract, from what I've been reading is, yes, it's 300k or close to, but it's not quite cut and dry like that. I think it's roughly 2 to 250 with add-ons. Yeah, correct. Which is the right thing to do. I mean, over the years, I've looked at the way City have done contracts. I've looked at the way Liverpool have done contracts, and their contracts have been heavily bonus orientated. Now, those bonuses and those metrics and targets in the contract can give the hunger, give the determination, can be the drive. Because listen, as much as a lot of people, say money shouldn't be the goal, at the end of the day, in the world we live in, man want to make money. I hear it, but if a man's on 200k a week, bro, but if I'm let's say if Saka wins the Premier League we win the Premier League this season, and the bonus is, okay, cool, if you score this many goals, get this many assists, then you're gonna get that bonus. But you're already on 200k a week. Oh, that's you're nice. You're nice, but at the same time, if I'm on 200k a week and I know I can get another 50k if I bag a double-double, I'll call it, in terms of 12-10 or bag 20 goals and you get another, you're gonna go for it. you're gonna 100% go for it. It's a target. It's something. Something ego related as well. That I wanna smash these down as well.
But so many players do the reverse, and that's why you have to take in consideration. Why is that? Is that because
more pressure comes on with these contracts as well?
Yeah.
More 100%. When Ozil signed that contract, when Oba signed that contract, and when Saka signed this contract, something that they should all know, and I'm sure they do know, is the pressure rises. Now, the thing about Saka is we've seen him knock down every obstacle he's had in the last 2.5-3 years since he's been a regular for us. We've seen him kick on, we've seen him improve, we've seen very little struggle in terms of how his career is on the uphill kind of rise. This would just be another one of those things, in my opinion, with Saka, based off his character, mentality, and from what we know about him, that won't derail him. I think he'd still want to kick on. If we win the Premier League this year, then we should be trying to win the Champions League and stuff like that. We should be looking at back-to-backs and three-peats like the great clubs have done over the years. So I don't think just winning something and then signing a new contract means that the hunger and passion will die. I think you get certain characters that want to build upon that. Hey, look, with the world-class conversation as well, we might as well throw that in.
No, we're going to skip. Everyone strap in. Like this video, please. There's 2,600 of you in here. Please like the video. Strap in, because we're going to do all angles of this. So let's do the world-class debate. Let's get to this then.
For me, he's been the best He's been the best winger. Forget just right winger in the league. He's been the best winger in the league this season, right or left. Best right winger in the world this season? Yes. I won't say that I've watched every club in every league, but I'd say yes. I'm confident of that. But for me, world class is also consistency at the highest level.
But he has been consistent.
He's been consistent in his development. Now he's reaching. This season, has this season been better than last?
Yeah.
And do you expect next season to be better than this one?
Well, yeah, I hope so.
Because he's still young, right?
Yeah, because he's got to build.
So once you reach that kind of, not ceiling, but once you reach that level where the numbers and the performances are consistently producing, then you reach the world-class level. You can't just say world-class based off of,
He's been consistently good.
He's been consistently rising.
In our team.
Consistently rising over the years, which is fair. I mean, at his age, that's what exactly he should be doing.
Yeah,
he's been breaking the boundaries even.
Yeah, because he's doing better than the others right now.
He's been better
than that's in the league and other leagues.
But this season we're saying he's the best winger in the league. Yeah, last season we wouldn't have said that.
No, probably not.
So this is him kicking on. Next season, be the best winger in the league. And then I think the world-class conversation starts a bit more, because then you've got a couple of years of being the best around your peers.
The conversation starts. You're not even like. Remember, even internationally, Turkish. He's badding it up. Like,
he is.
For England, even the World Cup. Like,
I said Euros, he was England's best player.
Yeah,
World Cup,
he was England's best player.
I said the same thing.
I remember you saying it.
I said the same thing.
So how is it? I understand, like, consistency for me, what deems a player world class as well. But I believe he's been consistent throughout all his years from when he's broke through. So for me, it's world class. I hear you want to see it. Do you want to see it consistently in this league or like in the Champions League?
At the highest level. What he's done this season is the highest level.
Yeah, okay, good.
12 goals, 10 assists with 10 games to go.
Good.
This is a world-class season from someone his age, 100%. But world-class has also changed. The term world-class has also changed over the years. I come from an era where there was many world-class players playing around the world, and there was a strong debate about who's the best CM, who's the best attacking mid, who's the best striker. Now, I don't think the pool of players in terms of quality is as high as it was back then.
Yeah.
I think it's, football's changed, so the players in the world-class bracket has changed. Do I think Saka starts for most clubs in Europe? Yes.
So who's world-class for you right now?
Who's world-class for me?
Is Haaland world-class?
Haaland's a world-class, yeah, he is.
That's mad to me. Okay.
Different role, though.
He's a striker.
He's a world-class finisher, Haaland. He's a world-class striker.
And Saka's got world-class numbers this season in goals and assists.
He has, yeah.
For what his job's a winger.
Yeah, he's still got 10 games to go as well.
Exactly. Okay.
But this has been by far his best season.
Yeah, agreed.
Whereas Haaland's been scoring goals for the last 3-4 seasons. In terms of those numbers.
Yeah, but okay, he's done it in the Prem, he's done it in Germany. Okay. It's an interesting one, the world-class debate. It is all over online. I would push more on it, but I want to kind of look at the other angle of this contract. For the other players at Arsenal, Saka gets given this. Does it ruin the wage structure or the mindset of some of the players that be thinking, raw, why? Or can no one chat to Saka? We had this debate in the office. I feel like whatever you give to Saka, no one can really chat to him, because we spoke to Loanee and he said, Jesus is the highest paid at the moment. Can Jesus think Ben want more next season? And so on, but because of what Saka's getting, no one can really chat to Saka, in my opinion.
No, I mean the players know who's been the best player at the club this season, so they can't really argue that. And plus, Martinelli's got a nice new contract. Saliba's going to get a nice new contract. Partey and Jesus are already on nice contracts. So
can Saliba talk? Can Saliba say, "Whoa, I want to be"?
No, because this is Saliba's first season as well. This is Saliba's first season. So it's all with growth, and what it does show them is you work hard, you be consistent, you will get rewarded. Yeah, it should be more motivation for them.
With this one as well, then does it putting them on this much money? So just to give people context as well, that Alexis Sanchez thing, he was on, I believe, 130k a week at Arsenal, 160k. He then went to United for.
Can I just say something? Because the chat is trying to get onto man about this Saka thing. Do you think? Yeah. I'll be honest.
Hold
on. The other day I did Big Six.
Go on.
I did the Big Six top, the greatest wingers of all time. I've done all positions, but the greatest wingers of all time. Yeah. Messi was in there. Ronaldo was in there. Ronaldinho was in there. In the conversation. Arjen Robben was in the conversation. Neymar was in the conversation. Don't you think Saka still has a way to go to reach that level of player?
You can't.
No. It's a simple question. Simple question.
Bro, come on, Turkish. You can't say.
Bro, it's a simple question.
No, but it's not. You can't say Lionel Messi, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, and then say Saka, bro. Come on.
But these are the levels set.
Yeah, but you're not going.
But if you're going by the pool now.
I'm going Haaland, Mbappe.
Just because the pool around the world is lesser in quality than it was back then, doesn't mean you're.
Yeah, but they're established like.
So you just said Mbappe then, yeah?
He's a. I don't want to. Let's not use Mbappe.
Why?
Because he's on a separate thing. So allow me with him. But Saka is world class. If you're going to talk about like who's world class right now that people would go to, they'll talk about Haaland. They'll talk about who's really badding it up. The level's definitely different to what you've just mentioned. But they're legendary players. They're different. I don't know how to explain.
Well, Mbappe is as well world class, obviously.
But I think Saka's world class. That's the thing. I genuinely believe he's world class. But I can't say Mbappe and Saka are here. That's the only thing. But Saka is a world class player to me. I'm just trying to think of the ones that people in the comments must be saying. Kane's world class. That's what they're saying. Would you put him in the world class category?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm checking. You put Haaland in there. You put Kane, De Bruyne.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Keep going, people, because I think Saka's in this category here, in my opinion. Vinicius Junior. This one's tough because I actually think him and Saka.
Personally, I wouldn't say Vinicius either.
You wouldn't?
No.
I would have smoked you with your answer if you said yes.
I wouldn't say Vinicius. And Vinicius is a quality player.
Very good player. Good player. Salah?
Salah has been world class over the years. I just don't think this season he's been close. Well, he's still getting numbers, but he hasn't been close to the levels that he set.
This is going to be the pool of players, though, that they're going to speak about. So you spoke about, of course, their legendary status, world class, the Lionel Messi's, Ronaldinho's, Ronaldo's, and all that. That next section. So when it's this generation, it will be De Bruyne's. I think Vinicius. People would say he is world class. I think people will say it.
That's fair. It's all opinions at the end of the day, but I wouldn't put Vinicius in world class because same way I just mentioned wingers of all time. Would you put Vinicius anywhere close to them? No.
Of all time. No, not right now, but that's because of recency. I think eventually once they're done, you might put them up there or later on in their careers. But yeah, later on in their careers, I'll probably put them in there. But just quickly, what about Victor Osimhen?
No.
Okay. Oh, they've got you then as well. All right, fair. No, listen, I can't really corn you for that. But for me, Saka is world class. The way you're standing on your point and the examples you've said, I understand why not. But those numbers that Saka, I know you said this season he has been world class, but I think he's there. And especially if Arsenal win the Premier League,
He's had a world class season for sure.
for sure.
It's just to be in that bracket, in my opinion, you need to.
But you can't put him in the
doing it
Messi. You
back to
can't
back.
put him in the Messi,
No,
Ronaldo.
of
You can't
course
put him in
not.
that bracket,
Of
bro.
course not. But even when we mentioned Robben and Neymar, for example,
Yeah.
there's still a way to go for Saka, Vinicius, these men to reach that level even.
But they're on course for that, though.
They're on course, but just as they're setting off, you're labelling them straight away.
Yeah, because when
men have been flying for
bracket.
years.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
And then you're putting them in the same bracket as man that were flying for years.
They need a separate bracket. I'll be honest. That's like a
Like, this is why the whole
like a legendary status there. Like, because they've done it for years. Fair enough. Saka hasn't had the opportunity to do it for years. Every year that he's had, I think he's done very well progressively. This season is obviously a world class season, but they're on the way to that. For me, that makes them still world class. I don't think. Like, it's same with Salah. Salah's been world class. Okay, he's not having a world class season like you just mentioned there, but to me, he's a world class player. What he's done. Saka, if Arsenal win the Premier League this season, is he world class for you, Saka, or does he still need to go on this journey?
You can't, in my opinion, you can't just throw world class around just like that. There has to be a certain level, and that level includes consistency at the highest level.
But you can't put world class. You can't just say Messi, Ronaldinho, and Ronaldo and all those players, and then talk about Haaland and Harry Kane. That's you can't put them in the same conversation, in my opinion.
But it's different positions. What are we saying?
Okay, so
of course Haaland doesn't come close to the legendary strikers of all time.
Yeah, because you can't say Thierry Henry, Haaland.
If he maintains this level for years,
he will get to
then
that.
He'll break enough records to be part of the conversation.
Cool.
Kane has bagged in, like, Kane is part of the conversation for Premier League best strikers.
Yeah.
If you have conversations about the top 5
fair.
list,
Yeah,
some people will say, I wouldn't, but some people will say
there'll be outrage if they did, but there is people
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just different positions. It's hard to cross compare them. But I think consistency at the highest level then. But nowadays the world class thing gets just banded around easy. So
a lot of
have
people
a good season, and if someone's saying Vinicius is world class, then Saka's world class.
Yeah, that's
I'm not arguing against that, but I'm not putting Vinicius in no world class bracket.
But if your world class bracket is the players that you mentioned, what you did the big 6, it's hot. It's a different level. It's like a legendary level. Then there's world class. Like people are mentioned here, like Modric, Benzema. They're world class, but they've done it.
So doesn't that make sense? They've done it, so they're world class.
Yeah, that means they'd have to be. Benzema for me goes into that. If you call them all strikers, he goes into that when you speak about Harry Kane, the top 5 ever. Like Benzema's in there for me. So I think he's a different.
Like
he's in a different
Modric
category.
at Tottenham, yeah,
he
was class.
Yeah, wasn't world class.
But you could make the same argument. That's what I'm saying. He was class. He kicked on. He upped the levels. He joined another club. He became integral, world class. And what he'd done it consistently for years, legendary. So it's like it's a ladder that
it is a ladder.
Like, slowly but surely players climb. Yes. Some players like an Mbappe or a Haaland, they come through the ladder down, and they just madness. Hit the ground running from young. Messi was the same. Ronaldo was the same. But yeah, I mean,
this is a good debate. I like it. I'm still not convinced on what I know what you're convinced on. I don't know what I'm convinced on. I still think, but Saka for me is world class. But yeah, maybe I'm jumping the gun in a sense. So I'm thinking, I see it just continuing, and of course he's in that form and he's heading that way. But for me as a fan, watching him week in week out, I don't know you are as well, but watching week out internationally and for Arsenal, he's just doing madnesses that give him that title. But they're in a different category to the players that have been spoken about of recent. We have done a lot on
Fabregas is a good example as well. At us, he was class, world class. He still needed to do more and do it consistently.
That's a good example. I don't know where he sits for me. I don't know where I'd put him, because he's not in he's definitely not in legendary level. He's not in the names of someone we mentioned.
No.
All right, cool. Let me read some of the super chats. I've just seen one coming at me. Let me read that in a second. We've got to go way back. Miles, oh wow, this is a lot of super chats. Thank you very much, guys. Let's quickly go into this one. Waleed says Saka 2022, 2023 or Anelka 98, 99.
98, 99.
98, 99 it says, or Anelka 98, 99. I'll put it.
Doesn't he mean 97, 98?
He probably means 97, 98. We'll move on.
Anelka was cold. Anelka was cold. I remember when we signed him, I was like, this is mad. When we lost him, I was gutted. But again, it's hard to compare. One's a striker,
One's a winger.
I'd go to Saka because, well, if we get the Premier League over the line as well, I'd go to Saka because he's, you know, gradually kind of built his name, came in and you know, the progress has been seamless. Whereas Anelka just came in and bang.
Anelka had an amazing ability. Listen, when I actually feel bad for him because his story, when you watch his story as well on his documentary, it was awful. But kept Ian right out the side, was the next big thing, quality player, great striker, scored great goals, great ability, unbelievable. But I have such an attachment. I'm being so biased. It may be recently biased, but I love Saka so much, so I'll always go with Saka. But Miles Smith with Super Chat says Saka contract feels different to others. He has a real future at this club and potential for the future captain and club legend. I hear it. We're talking about the contract. Does it feel? It feels different than the Ozil and the Aubameyang one. I think it's the age really. It's the age difference there. That's just what it's down to. Hines says with a super chat says we gave Cesc a big 8-year contract and he was fine. Eduardo says no disrespect, but arguing about the contract is stupid. Old players were paid for what they did. This contract is more for what he's going to do. Plus, if you want to continue growing as a club, then you keep your young stars.
Yeah, 100%. That's something we didn't do over the years of decline. So it's massive to be keeping Martinelli, Saka and Saliba. It goes a long way in showing Arsenal are back. You know, winning the Premier League, to be honest, even challenging, Arsenal are back. But also off the pitch, we need things like this to further weigh in on the argument. Are Arsenal back? Well, we're challenging, could potentially win it, and our young players are signing. Yes, we're back.
Yeah, you also are rewarding though players for what they've done as well. I know you said there, you know, you can look at them for the future, but you are rewarding them as well. Saka's been Arsenal's best player 2 years in a row. He's the talisman right now. I think many people know that. So you are giving them a bit of a reward. Of course, it feels different because, like we mentioned before, it's the age thing. We expect them to hit another level next season. But that doesn't always happen after players sign big contracts. This is why there's a conversation, there's a curse, shall we say. There's a conversation to be had there. Miles Smith back with Super Chat says, for me, Saka is world class as he walks into any team in the world. Arsenal the way with Super Chat says, I like that Super Chat as well. Big up Miles. Arsenal the way says, you cannot be world class just dominating domestically. I love Saka, but there are levels of pressure he hasn't faced yet. Man City has dominated our league, but they cannot do the same in the Champions League.
Both super chats have good points, because the first one, walking into any side, yeah, I get that. That's part of the measuring stick. But so is the highest level in Champions League football too. There's a lot of different metrics.
Because we're not in the Champions League. You can't judge a man for not doing it in the Champions League. We haven't been every hurdle he's had, Saka, in my opinion. Whether that's the Euros, missing the penalty, coming back, hitting another level, going back into international football, being the main man there, playing at Arsenal, being the main man there. Like every challenge he has, he's hit the heights. That's why I disagree with what Arsenal the way says there. Okay, cool. Man City haven't done it in Champions League, but we are yet to be in there.
Yeah, but it's time not running out. It's time just getting started. So why don't we wait?
Yeah.
What's the whole fascination with?
Giving the label now he's world class. Yeah, there's
I don't get it.
But you know, we're here. We talk and we have.
Yeah, I know, but even the chat as well is like, how dare he not say? I'm just like, man, what's the big deal?
I'll be honest, this is a sick one. It's a sick.
What's the actual big deal?
There's no rush for it, but you know why? You know this is what we.
Yeah, we're discussing it. I get it, but then it brings up such an emotion at some people. It's like, what the fuck? Like, it's not that deep.
We'll wait and see.
He's cold. That's it.
All right, cool.
Whether you say world class or not world class yet, or he needs to do this to be world class, who cares? He's cold. He's producing for us right now. That's it.
This is funny. All right, cool. Johnny back with the super chat says the term world class is used too much. This is what Cecil was saying earlier. In order to be world class, you need to perform at world class level for multiple seasons.
Multiple seasons is a metric as well, and that's my point. He's been performing for us for years, but it's been on the rise because he's young and he's just come into the side a few years ago. But
there's going to come
a time when he's in and around the peak of it, which could be next season, the season after, and it's about maintaining that as well.
Yeah, no, I hear that. But yeah, double figures last season in goals for Saka, double figures again already. I think he's doing to a high level. And again, I keep going back to internationally as well. He's always been a standout. But I hear the world class term is being thrown out. We need another term. We need I think the legendary and then the world class. I like that. Anyway, Arsenal on the way back with a super chat says Vinicius Jr. already has a better career than Kane. Fair. Eduardo Leva says, hot take, I include trophies in world class. Harry Kane is not world class for me. Saka on his way, not there yet. No, you can't say Harry. And it pains me to say, Harry Kane is world class.
I think
he's a world class finisher.
Asking for trophies is fair as well, and that's why I wouldn't put him, like, he's part of a conversation.
Is Giroud world class?
Giroud.
Bro, do you know his trophy cabinet? I'm just listen. If my man's saying that his trophy cabinet is mental, bruv. Like,
but that's why there's multiple factors. Some players knock down all of the factors. Some players knock down 4 of the 5 or 9 of the 10, and that's where the debate comes in. Okay. Kane, yes, he's bagged goals. Yes, he's a Premier League.
He's a record holder.
Premier League great because of the amount of goals he scored. He might go on to break Shearer's record. Who knows? But at the end of the day, if you're ever to argue Kane or Shearer, I'm picking Shearer every day of the week. He's won. If you're ever, I'm not even going to put the King's name in a sentence with him because there is no sentence to be said there.
People are let's not go there.
Do you get what I'm saying? Okay. So trophies does, like, when you're discussing the greatest,
cements it. It does.
Other things come into play to kind of drag the conversation left, right, and centre, and then trophies is definitely one of them. What did your goals do, or what did your assists do, or what did your creativity do, or what did your defensive solidity do? And that's trophies and accomplishments.
Johnny with a super chat says Cecil would have called Dele Alli world class after the 2016-17 season. One amazing season doesn't mean you are world class. Firstly, I never thought Dele Alli was first world class. Saka hasn't had one amazing season, people. Are we all right? Like, please, bro, come on. He hasn't just had one amazing season. He's had at
the level we're talking now. Are you all right?
No, bro. One season. Saka's been good for one season.
No, hold on. You've just went from amazing to good. Which one is it? Is it amazing or is it good? Where's the question here?
He says one amazing season doesn't make you a world-class player. Okay, amazing. This is his amazing seasons, what Saka's having. But I don't...
It's better than last season.
Better than last season.
And it's been a gradual rise.
Yeah.
And you expect next season to be better than this season.
To be better.
That's it. So if you're flinging out world class and amazing now, and he kicks on every year for the next 3 years, what are we going to call him in 3 years then?
No, he's world class. I think he's world class now because he's done it. He's done it. All the levels he had to perform at, he's done it to the highest level. Whether it's international, whether it's for Arsenal, he's done it. He's had good seasons before. Of course, okay, cool, fair enough. I said it wrong there. Last season was a good season for, or great season for him. This season's been amazing. But he's done every hurdle he's gone to. He's
a world class young player for sure. For sure. Let's go back to Anelka. That year, you would have labelled him world class, and a lot of people would have. In the end, was Nicolas Anelka world class by the end of his career? The people put him in the conversation. So it's about consistency too, and it's about building on these seasons, and it's about kicking on. That's part of it too. People just get caught up in the moment and want to just label and get offended when you don't agree. And listen, I'm loving Saka at the moment. He has come on leaps and bounds in the last 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, and so on. There's more to come from him. I honestly believe there's more to come. So I'm just sitting back, enjoying it in the moment. Don't ask me. But let me just enjoy it.
No, I hear it. I hear what you're saying, and
it's like the questions can sometimes be jarring. It's that when men ask me, "Are you going to win the league?"
No, I get it.
It's like that. It's like, let me just enjoy.
But you know what? You know why that is? This is because this is what we have to do. I know it's annoying, bro. Like, I hear it, but this is what we have to do. Maybe I am jumping the gun, but I think I'll stand on my point. I think Saka's world class, and yes, he may go to another level next season, and we expect that. But even if he hits, I don't know what he's going to end up with. But even if he hits these numbers next season, that's still a world-class season for me.
That's back-to-back amazing season.
That's a good season. Yeah, okay, cool. Waleed with a super chat says, people would put more respect on Saka's name once he smashes it in the Champions League. I personally feel players get more clout and respect when they're doing it well in the Champions League from other fan bases.
Which is true. And I think he will. He's smashed down every target or obstacle that people have put in front of him in the last 2-3 years. So I don't see why he wouldn't smash that one as well.
I think doing it on the world stage is still big enough. But of course, yes, the Champions League is where a lot of people get judged. But yeah, it'll be, again, that's another thing where we just wait and see. But I don't see it phasing him personally. I really don't. Zizi with the super chat says he's had one amazing season and other good ones with the super chat. Last season I think was a great season for him. I'm just saying.
For a player his age, yeah.
Yeah, it was a great season for him last season, in my opinion. But good, I think it's a bit harsh. But fine. Hayne with a super chat again says Ronaldo became world class after scoring 42 goals in a season in 07-08. Saka still has levels to go.
And I believe he does as well. I think his ceiling's higher than what we're seeing here, which is testament to how good a player he is and how good a player he can be.
No, 100%. Arsenal all the way says Champions League needs to be top priority next, which looking like we'll be in next season. It's going to be a telling sign for Arsenal to see, I guess, who we bring in the window and how we, compete in the Champions League. I'm very fascinated to see what we do in it. I really am. If we make it there, still mathematically we might not be able to, but it's looking like we will. But yeah, that is, I believe, listen, that's all the super chats. That was a big debate, big discussion. You're going to get asked again, is Saka world class throughout the whole week, I'm sure. So yeah, if you prepare for that, I'm sure you've mentioned it as well in your Forever Arsenal podcast.
I've talked about it now, I'm done.
Is that it? You're finished now. But yeah, that is it. Listen, big up everyone that joined us on this live. It was a long one, but there was a lot of conversation. Please hit the like. Make sure you check out all the content coming your way. We are back to Premier League football this weekend. Arsenal versus Leeds at the Emirates. So make sure you check out all the content coming your way. And thank you for getting involved in the Loanees. Keep, second loan or sell. Really enjoyed that. And we'll see you again, guys, very soon. Take care.